The endocrine glands do the best work they can under the conditions supplied by the master of the body. When man supplies perfect conditions, the glands perform perfect work. They cannot refine beneficial products from the blood that is polluted with poisonous elements, which enter the body with air, drink, and food. The endocrine glands are the master chemists of the organism. Upon their products depend the activity of all the other glands, as they function in response to proper stimulation. The glands themselves receive their primal stimulus from what enters man's body and from the vibrations of his environment. Science finds that the gonad or sex glands control the ductless gland system. The gonads are the life glands that produce the most refined and most vital fluid in the organism. The gonads are also called the destructive glands because it is their function that perpetuates the race, and in the act of reproduction, man sacrifices no small degree of his own vital force and substance. The thymus gland is one of the endocrine system. The thymus has been termed the gland of youth. The term seems to be supported fully and literally by the evidence supplied. Some authorities assert that the thymus is most active at puberty and then begins slowly to atrophy for some unknown reason, usually becoming dormant after the age of 20 or 21 in most cases. Why does man lose the use of the gland put in his body by God to keep him always young? There must be a reason. Biologists show that the thymus is supersensitive to salt, and the eating of salty food causes the gland to atrophy. It seems to require from 10 to 20 years in most cases for the salt-eating habit to destroy the thymus. It is known that salt damages the entire body. It has a tendency to absorb water and draws the precious fluids from the cells, glands, and organs, causing them to atrophy. It cripples the lymphatic and endocrine systems, including the gonad glands, and causes general deterioration of the whole organism. Thus do our evil habits destroy us. We do well to live 60 or 70 years, and yet our body is so perfectly made that biologists declare it is apparently intended to go on forever. Cunningham's textbook of anatomy contains nearly 1,600 pages. Gives a most complete description of the thymus. It says, in some newborn babies it weighs as little as 2 or 3 grams. In others as much as 15 to 17 grams. At puberty it may be difficult to find, or may weigh as much as 40 grams. After the age of 50 it may require careful dissection to discover, or may be quite large. The function of the most complex organs of the body still remain unknown, says Carroll. What is the purpose and function of the thymus? Modern science has no answer except to assume that the gland seems to act as a check valve on the gonad glands. When the thymus is removed, in the case of small animals, the gonad glands are hastened to maturity and show greater functional activity than in animals whose thymus functions normally. Physiologists assert that this may reveal one reason why the creative function in modern man has become largely a matter of lust and debauchery. The check valve on the gonads is dormant, and they run wild, free of all restraint. Excessive sex indulgence follows, and the work of the destructive glands hurries man to the grave. Experiments on thousands of rats show that when the thymus is removed, the animals mature prematurely, age rapidly, produce prolifically, and die long before their natural lifespan has been attained. That description perfectly fits modern man with his atrophied, dormant thymus gland. To the best of our knowledge, modern science has offered no serious suggestion as to why the early biblical patriarchs did not mature and produce offspring until they were 100 years old or more. We know so little about man as he was thousands of years ago before he became a victim of debauchery and degeneration, that it would be foolish to attempt to describe him. Nor does it make sense to suggest that the glands are put in man's body for no other purpose than to atrophy, degenerate, and lapse into dormancy. When the thymus, the check valve to the sex glands, has been removed or has become dormant, the resultant excessive stimulation of the gonads, ceasing excessive sex indulgence as shown in experiments on animals, seriously weakens the body, causing it to age rapidly, to decline into decrepitude, and to sink down in early death. So little seems to be known concerning this and many other matters affecting man, that science is incompetent to offer any useful suggestions. Some biologists contend that the thymus may be aroused from its dormant state and activated by the higher emotions, the chief of which seems to be genuine love between those of the opposite sex. It seems reasonable that God may have so provided it, but this does not mean that lust or sexual indulgence must follow. It seems that the loving interchange of those harmonious vibrations between the male and female bodies that preserve health and promote longevity. No matter where the investigation begins, we invariably arrive at the same place. The destructive glands have been properly thus designated. Man cannot consume and expend his vital essence in lustful conduct, nor in the function of perpetuating the species, without paying the price by sacrificing a definite part of his own existence. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, dying thou shalt die. Man is given the intelligence and the willpower to consider and choose between 1. Self-denial and preservation, or 2. Self-indulgence and destruction.